Hey friends, figured a lot of people have asked, so I will share the bike story. So as most of you know, we have a electric bike that we bought a couple years ago from Tyler at Mission Electric, and it is essentially our second car. So it fits both kids in the back. That's how we take them to school. It's a cargo bike. It's awesome. And the other night, so Wednesday night, it was stolen from our yard, and it was locked up to our fence. And I mean, I normally would tuck it away, cover it. Hey, George, no more. So, anywho, that night, I had changed it to the inside of our fence, but it wasn't totally as hidden as normal. We went to sleep. I kind of forgot about it, and the next day, our fence had been cut, and the bike was gone, which took me a little while to even notice. I was like, hey, the fence is cut. How did this get broken? And then realized, oh, shit, the GSD, which is the name of the bike, is gone. So, notice that. Then, so immediately, file a police report, insurance, whatever. We post to Instagram and to Facebook, and right away a lot of people were like, make this public so we can share it, and which people did. So many people shared this post about the stolen bike. We live on the west side of Providence, so that's where it was taken from, but so many people posted about it, and I thank everybody that did that, because right away, so it had cargo bags on the side. So by the next morning, or in the middle of the night, I got a message about somebody that the cargo bags have been found, and they had just been ditched on the road. So those are recovered. But obviously the bike then, no idea. Then I have somebody who had seen the post, I don't know how many degrees of separation we have, but I don't know them, who lives over on the east side, close to the gym, sent a message that they had seen it outside of the Black and White Market, which is over on Camp Street and Cypress Street, if you're familiar, which is, again, not far from the gym at all, the night prior, so that second night, so between like 7 and 8 p.m. So, okay, all right. So I get this in the morning. Friday morning, I had coached early, and then I'm like, well, I'll swing by. So I drive by, and it's still closed in the morning, so nothing. So then I'm at work, I coach, and at 10 a.m., I have the kids. Alicia came in with the kids, so then I leave with them, and they're in the car with me, and I'm like, all right, let's go get a snack. We're gonna go up to Little Sister up on Hope Street. We'll go up there, and once I leave the gym, I'm like, you know what, I'll just drive up Cypress Street. I'll drive past the place again, why not? To drive past it, nothing. I'm like, okay, they're open, maybe I'll come back and ask them if they have cameras or anything like that. We get to the top of the hill right near Hope Street, and there's this guy starts riding back past me on what is clearly our bike. So you can't really miss the bike. And I'm in the car with the kids, and I pull up, and this is something that I regretted a lot over the last couple of days. I basically said exactly the thought as it crossed my mind out loud to him, which is, that's my fucking bike. And he's like, what? No. He's like, I bought this off someone. That's roughly what he sounded like. And he's still riding past me, so I'm now just in reverse, riding next to him and saying like, hey, let me talk to you. That's my fucking bike. And as he rides faster, I just started saying it loud. I was like, that's my fucking bike. With the kids in the car, of course, everything. So he speeds down, and I have to then make a 3-point turn. This is on Cypress Street, I hope. And immediately it says a parked car. So then I, flip in reverse, I come, and then there's another car that pull up behind me. So then I have to go around them. So I'm thinking this guy just books down the hill. Because that's where I saw him go. So I start booking down the hill towards North Main Street, and nowhere to be seen. I'm like, okay, this guy dipped out super quickly. He's on the e-bike, obviously. I mean, it's pretty fast, but I'm in the car. Later on, I would realize that he really turned into the dead end right there behind the Providence Center on Ivy Street. But thinking he went down North Main Street, so I drive around, I go down to the cemetery, there's a guy there, I see it, did he ride into the cemetery? Because I'm thinking he's going to try to ditch the bike because now he's been seen on it, and it's so recognizable. So then I call the police, and they're like, Liz, you can't just be driving around for us to meet you, you have to go somewhere. So I say, okay, let's meet by the Black and White Mart. So meet by the Black and White Mart. In the interim, I go into the Black and White Mart, and there's a nice dude who works there or owns it maybe, and I'm like, listen, there was this guy, did the guy come in and describe him? He had a mohawk, All right. And when I say mohawk, it wasn't like spiked up, like it was just shaved all down the sides, and he had some swatch of hair and a bunch of tattoos. And he's like, yeah, that guy comes in every single day. So I'm like, okay, all right. And then the police come, and essentially they can't really do anything. They had the officer that took the report, it's kind of like, all right, we'll look out, whatever, But the guy was like, well, what are we really? Police officer, we'll add the information you gave, the description to the report, whatnot. The guy from the black and white mark takes my number, and then he's like, I'll call you if I see him. So I'm like, okay. We drive around a little bit with the kids, and I tell them we're just looking for people, and there's all kinds of questions about like, well, why did the bad guy drive away and all this stuff, and what they're gonna do if we see the bad guy. I'm gonna jump on him. It's like, I'm gonna distract him while you jump on him, and it's like, oh, that's a great idea. Yes, this is what's going on in the car. So anywho, right, go about my day, go back to the gym after like noontime, and I get a text from the guy at the black and white mark with a picture of this dude at the register, and he's like, is this a guy? And I'm like, I had to say honestly, I'm like, I think so, but I mean, it totally was. And he told me that he went up Cypress back toward IVC, like right toward back where I had seen him the first time. So Jake and I go for a little ride around. I had actually earlier than that already walked around the area, that park, to see if it had been ditched somewhere, the bike meeting. And so we go around, and we follow where the guy had said he had been, and we just maybe like 45 minutes, and we talk to some neighbors. We end up talking to a woman who's working in working on a plot in a little community garden that's down behind that I think it's Billy Taylor Park. So tell her the story, and she's like, I know a lot of people who live around here. Maybe I could send an email out. Give me your number, and I'll, if anybody sees it, I'll let them know, or they'll let me know, and I'll let you know. And I was like, listen, I'll text you a picture right now so you can see who we're talking about. So we end up going back. We stop at a pawn shop to talk to somebody. See that we actually got some great advice from the man there. It was basically like, just like chill, don't get super worked up, maybe just creep around, try to find the guy, but don't go like wishing worst case scenarios, or, even like maybe even not even confronting him, because who knows, man, this guy might be a drug addict and he might stab you and whatnot, which is basically the same thing the police said. Go back to the gym. We're hanging out, doing work, and then I get a phone call from the nice woman that we had met in the garden, who says, hey, I just saw this guy going down Cypress Street toward North Main, and our gym is on North Main. So, all right, we leave the gym, Jake and I walking North Main to Cypress, right? So this is where the KFC is. So like our 400-meter mark at the gym, if you're unfamiliar. And we basically time it as we walk up. We get to the corner, boom, there's him and this woman. And I'm like, where's my bike? And he's like trying to act like, he's like, I don't even ride bikes. That's what he said. I don't even ride bikes. Hey, kids, no. Don't shoot their car with the water. Keep it on our property. Okay. So anyway, says he doesn't ride bikes. The woman is like, hold on, guys. Let me pull him aside. So she pulls him aside to talk to him. Basically, this guy says that, comes back, and she's kind of like speaking for him. She's like, so he didn't steal the bike. This other guy stole it and let him ride it. And now it's at this other guy's house, and he's afraid to rat this guy out because he's afraid to get his ass kicked or whatever. So I'm like, okay. Meanwhile, I'd already called the cops to come meet us, right? And so we're trying to be like, okay, well, listen, dude, there's nothing, like, first of all, the bike's going to run out of energy, run out of juice, you can't charge it. The only way you guys are going to get in trouble is if you are riding the bike around. So the best thing to do is just give it up. Give it up to me. We won't involve the police. Just give us a bike, right? So then the cops come around. This guy bolts. We still end up talking to the girlfriend or whatever she may be. And same conversation. Like, look, I don't need the cops involved. We just need this bike back. Just meet us anywhere. Leave it at the black and white mart, and that guy will hit us up or whatever, right? Tell the guy that if next time he lets you take it, tell him that we found you and knocked you off it, and then you're not a snitch or whatever the heck. So anyway, nothing doing, essentially. So the story is related to my wife, who then talks to a friend of ours who is a police officer who's off duty, not around here. And he's like, I'm going to go for a little ride. So he rides around the neighborhood, finds this guy immediately. Again, red, like mohawk. He's wearing the same red shirt all day. So, I mean, you can't miss this guy. And, hey, boys, stay in the driveway, please. Stay in the driveway. So he finds a guy quickly, sends us over a picture of him, which was actually hilarious, and kind of essentially gets the same story, that this guy won't give it up, blah, blah, but manages to tail him enough to see that he goes into this dead end that he talked about, behind the Providence Center that he had initially turned off of that I didn't realize. Hey, George, boys, hey, James, don't leave the driveway again. Okay, James, George, don't leave the driveway again. So anyway, same story, blah, blah, but manages to see him. So he kind of looks in his backyard, and there's some bikes in his backyard with a tarp over it. So here we go. We think, all right, this is the place. What are we going to do? And he can't hold this guy or anything like that. So then he basically says, well, don't tell a bunch of people where it is, because essentially our friends and whomever else might just go there, and then it's this crazy situation and whatever. So we can't really tell the police because they can't really do anything. So there's no evidence, there's no actual footage or photo of this guy on the bike or anything, so they can't do anything. So the next day, Alicia's going in. It's a Saturday morning now. She goes in to coach and decides, I'll drive around the neighborhood a little bit, whatever. We go out with the family. We go to the Gatsby Day Parade, which we were going to ride our bike to, but instead we had to drive and do that. And then that afternoon, Alicia's like, I'm going to go back to the gym. Maybe I'll print some flyers and I'll scope it out again. So she went over there and meets a neighbor who lives on the corner of this block, and says, oh, no, I know the guy. He lives in this house, 2 houses further down into this dead end. And he's a huge, pain in the ass. And that the night before, so this is after all the back and forth, so that night, he was out on the bike at 2:30 a.m. So she sees this. So Alicia's like, look, I'm going to call the police. We're going to see if they'll assist us in knocking on this door, which they say, sure. So we come over there. So that's what we do. So we knock on this door. In the meantime, waiting for the police, we talk to a few other neighbors. They were all familiar with the guy, say it's like a nightmare or whatever, that he lives there and everything like that or whatever. So we knock on the door, nothing happens. And the police, he goes in the backyard. There's a few bikes there, but there are probably other stolen kids' bikes. By the way, when our friend, the police officer, encountered him, he was on some other bike. And the police officer basically like, well, we can't really do anything. They're not answering the door. I'm like, I hear them inside. I hear people inside. So then we're kind of standing there. We're talking to the neighbors with the police officers, and then somebody comes out. It's an old man. And this other woman who is on the older side, quite infirm looking. She has, she's got like oxygen that she's got going on. And the first guy comes out and, excuse me, sir, do you live in this house? He's like, oh, no. It's just my friend lives here. So there's a lady. So there's a lady in the door. And like, hey, do you live in this house? She's like, what's the matter? I was like, listen, our bike was stolen and we think it might be here. And she's like, oh, it's probably in the garage. So then as we're walking up closer to the house, down the driveway comes a Mohawk dude and another guy. And so I'm like, okay, where is it? And she's like, oh, I'll open the garage. So the one police officer takes Mohawk dude, his first reaction is, oh, man, you again? Why are you bothering me? What is this? Right? So the one cop takes him. The other police officer comes with us and the woman, and she's trying to open up the thing. We put together afterwards that all these people in the home had just shot up some drugs. So she's trying to open the door and she's trying to put in a code and it's just not happening. And I'm like, oh man. And meanwhile, Alicia is going around the back. She's like, there's a window around the back. I mean, we can just open the window. And then she's like, we're like, can you pull the door open? She's like, oh, you can just pull the door open. She's like, I can't do it. And we're like, no, we can do it. So the police officer opens the door, walk into, it's a 2-car garage, walk in, turn to the right, and literally just go, boom, there's our fucking bike right there. And I'm like, literally like, so over the entire time, it wasn't even, it wasn't even about the bike. It was that we knew he had it. We knew that he knew where it was. And the whole time he just had it. He had just made up some shit. And there's the bike. There it is. It's got some towels laying on it. There's like a couple things missing, but it's like, there's the bike. Police officer says, oh, do you have the serial number? I'm like, boom, I got the serial number right here. I got the police report number when I gave them the serial number. I'm like, here, look at this. The lock is still hanging off the side because they cut the fence. They couldn't cut the lock because it's this huge lock, again, from Tyler admission. And I'm like, here, I could open this lock. Here's the combination. Boom, 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 open it up. The cop's like, all right. The cop's like, open and shut. So they're talking to this guy the whole time, and obviously we're pissed. I come back out and I'm like, and I look at the guy, he's sitting on the steps, and I just say, I'm like, look, first of all, we know his name now, we know his date of birth, all this stuff. He had shaved the mohawk to try to be less conspicuous. And he, I'm like, look, dude, you had the opportunity. Just give us a bike, right? You just give us a bike. Nobody, I don't care about, I'm not trying to, just give us a bike. You had this chance. Didn't give us a bike, gave us some other story. Excuse me, long story, not short at all. We didn't press charges. Part of the reason being that, and this is again partially according to the police officers, that it would be very difficult to create this case that he definitely stole it because he doesn't live at the house. Or another guy came out at some point and was kind of saying like, oh, I'm just letting this guy live here. He's homeless. I was trying to be nice. I didn't know that bike was stolen. It's like, anyway, so, it would be different. We could go after the person who lives there. It's all the stuff, but it's like, all right, whatever. So let it go, ride the bike back down to the gym. It's like the right down the hill. Like I was beaming, right? See the guy, they let him go. So he's walking back up the street towards me, give him the little wave. He's like, ooh. Alicia's like, she's driving behind. She's just like, to this dude. I mean, honestly, like he should be thanking us. Like, I mean, he is so lucky. Because and the police officer said this, he's like, we admire your restraint. Like, honestly, more Alicia, like she would have just decked this dude. Or if she had seen him on the bike, we would have had to physically knock him off. I mean, what else? He got away the first time. So, yeah, got the bike back. Went back to the Black and White Mart. I asked the woman there, I'm like, hey, is there like a big dude that works here? And she's like, why do you ask? I'm like, he helped me find my bikes. It's her brother. We FaceTime. I'm like, dude, I got the bike. Very excited. Texted all the people that had helped out. Let them know the story. But yeah, so we had the bike back. Took a little spin this morning on the bike path with them. Realized that when the bike was stolen, their helmets were in the bag, so those were never recovered. So I had to get some more helmets. Whoa, whoa, whoa! Hey! You're spraying me with water. Hey. Okay, that's not all right. So yeah, to wrap it up, we have the bike back. Thank you to everybody. That's the story. If you want a picture of the dude, I'll show it. But I was just gonna try to let this dude live the rest of his life. I mean, he's clearly addicted to drugs. I mean, it's not, we've had a lot of questions with kids about why did the bad man steal this and, all this other stuff. But, whatever, hoping the best. But thank you to everybody again that reached out, and anybody that took the time to listen to this. Thank you too. And we'll see you out there on the bike. So, peace.